as the Houthis have repeatedly launched missiles and drones targeting Israel during its war on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The Houthis announced the Israeli move via their Al Masirah satellite news channel, saying the attack targeted docks there without elaborating. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has described Russia's drone and missile attack on Tuesday as one of the biggest in the more than 3-year-old war. Ukrainian officials say 2 people were killed and 13 wounded. Russia has been launching a record-breaking number of drones and missiles targeting Ukraine, while the 2 countries continue to swap prisoners of war. 2,000 National Guard troops, along with 700 Marines, are headed to Los Angeles on orders from President Trump. They'll be responding to the city's immigration protests. Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass say Trump is putting public safety at risk by adding military personnel, even though police say they don't need the help. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. removed an entire committee that advises the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on vaccine use. He says he'll replace the 17 committee members with his own picks. This is AP News. A Pittsburgh area native is getting a second chance at his golf dreams after putting them aside to pursue dentistry. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
Matt Vogt is trading a drill for a driver at the U.S. Open.
Maybe I didn't dream big enough.
The 34-year-old Vogt, who runs a dental practice near Indianapolis, qualified as an amateur for the 156-man field.
I knew that it was an absolute pipe dream to get here. I mean, it is for the best pros in the world, let alone amateurs.
Vogt grew up north of Pittsburgh and caddied for a few years at Oakmont, which is hosting the U.S. Open for the 10th time.
I'm still trying to soak it all in.
Vogt played briefly in college before focusing on dentistry. He returned in 2018 and qualified for this year's Open 2 months after losing his father to colon cancer.
I'm sure this weekend will be emotional. There's a sense of peace.
I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News. Have a good morning.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 61. By Wednesday, sunshine, a high of 88 degrees. Thursday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 55.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns. Here we'd have dahlias, dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chu. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chu.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives, and welcome to the June 10th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is our Credo mobile phone and text line. So give us a holler, give us a shout. Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Email me at richard@WCPT820.com and catch me on Substack. I just posted a new article that is entitled MAGA, This Carnage is on You. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcast or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, the short and long versions of our different interviews. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, driving it home with Patty Vasquez. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Make sure you make your way over to heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform. I'll talk a little bit about that after we come back from the break. But for now, check this out, progressives.
Did not rule out literally arresting you, nor Mayor Bass, if you interfere in his work. He said you hadn't yet.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. But you know what? Let your hands off 4-year-old girls that are trying to get educated. Let your hands off these poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
So that's Governor of California, Gavin Newsom. He's been... How do I want to say this? I'm gonna say it this way. Other than his podcast situation, which we talked about a few weeks ago, and having those guys on, some of those right-wing knuckleheads, I have had no real issue with Gavin Newsom. I really haven't, and I've said for a long time he is that guy. He brings some stuff to the party. And I said it back when he had the guys on his podcast. I said, dang it, you were moving in such a positive direction. And that was something you didn't need to do. And also the issue around his belief with transgender athletes. I'll leave it at that. Okay. I've said this for the longest time. The Democratic candidate, the person that speaks the loudest, the person that stands up, like J.B. Pritzker. See, this is what we have to have. I can look at what those two things with Gavin Newsom and go, man, we hadn't done that. At the same time, he's the same dude that when Donald Trump decided to come into the state during the fires, that tried to do that Trump handshake thing, Devin, he was prepared for it and he pulled him back. I want somebody that's going to pull Donald Trump grab him by the scruff of his neck. Okay, I believe that moment, just that clip, is what Democrats are asking for. I wish he hadn't done what he had done and had those guys on. He did. Hopefully, he's learned something from it in that regard, in terms of tacking to the right. We don't need to tack to the middle, certainly, as David Jolly pointed out, and when we talked with Sarah Jones yesterday. But doggone it, yeah, bring it. Come to me. You know where to find me. That's what when people have said, what's that singular message, that singular voice, that singular thing from Democrats that people are just craving, and many people who didn't vote, people who were sat in the middle, whatever. That's what people, I believe, want to hear. I may be wrong, but I doubt it. People want to hear that come out of Democratic voices. You know where I am. Come for me. J.B. Pritzker started out early. That's why I think he's got the leading voice in that regard. And one of the reasons he's not getting the props from some of the national media about who's the Democratic voice is because they know that he's the one that he's willing to fight. He's got the money. He's got a strong state. He's got people behind him, and the list goes on. But that being said, and there's some optics behind why they don't want some of the mainstream media doesn't want J.B. Pritzker to be that voice. But we'll get into that as we move along, not today, but in the weeks to come. The point is, J.B. said it out of the gate. You come from my people, you got to come through me. He was clear about that, unapologetic. Gavin Newsom, he's been that way. He just got a little bit off cue. I mean, obviously he had to navigate the horrible event of the fires in Southern California. But the state of California is a target. Los Angeles is a target. San Francisco is a target. I notice how they're not really messing with San Diego. But we'll see. I'm not making any predictions or, any of that stuff. What he said is what people need to hear. You know where to find me. In the 6:30 hour, I put together just a brief little piece that I'll just say, how do we fight against Trump? I've talked about it in broader terms and on different shows. I've got 6 things that I think would be, these are things that politicians can do, elected officials can do, but I think that we all can individually aspire to do. Maybe not all at the same time, but in part. So in the 6:30 hour, we're going to go through this, and we'll take your calls at the same time that we're going through it. So definitely be prepared for that. Our guests today include Robin Steans. I always say that wrong. Robin Steans, who is with Advance Illinois, and will be talking with us about some education priorities that I think are going to be really important for you guys to hear. I'm really looking forward to talking to her about what's happening with the Department of Education and the work that Advance Illinois is doing. And then also Addie Zwick with Climate Cabinet Illinois will be with us in the 7:30 hour. Every local issue is a national issue now, guys. We no longer have that's in Washington. And I heard some interesting conversations yesterday. I was watching a little bit of MSNBC with John Heilemann and Dr. Eddie Glaude. Dr. Glaude said one thing that I wasn't crazy about, but for the most part, he was spot on. One of the things that he said was that, Democrats essentially have to stop being feckless. And I would agree with that. But at the same time, that we've got to recognize that the fight that we're in is a local, it's a regional, it's a national fight. And every Democratic elected official has to fight. And every person that believes in the process and believes in what we're trying to accomplish has to fight. That means you. That means us. That means y'all. So as much as, I spoke hard yesterday about what we didn't get done and what didn't happen, it's also about what we have to get done and what our opportunities are. So everybody needs to dress themselves up and ask, what more can I do? Yeah, you may have voted for our candidates. The question now is, what else can I do going forward? So I'm going to have some things to talk about that to kind of fill that void, because I got the impression that you guys needed a little bit of a push there. So we're going to bring some positivity to that conversation and make sure that everybody understands that we've got some work to do, and here's some tools to help us get some basic but common sense things done. We'll have Robin on at 7. We'll have Addie on at 7:30. We'll be taking your calls all during the show. So make sure you got yourself ready to call. Now, speaking of calls, I want to kind of fast forward to Thursday. Tomorrow we got Kurt Mullet on the show, our wonderful Wednesday Hoosier Blue 63 moment, and we'll be talking with a member from Operation Push about the upcoming events that are taking place around Juneteenth and some other things that are happening there. But on Thursday, Michelle Duster, author and historian and great-great-granddaughter of Ida B. Wells, will be with us in the 7:30 hour. But you guys pay attention to this and pass it on. From 6:30 until 7, that's going to be your time. What do I mean by that? A lot of folks have said, hey, Chew, I can't get in. I can't get a call in. I can't get you know how it happens. So from 6:30 until 7 on Thursday, the 12th, all I'm going to do from 6:30 until 7:30 is take your calls. So you got 2 days to get your thoughts together. If you want to yell and scream at me, WCPT at large, the progressive movement, the Democrats, the liberals, call in and yell at the top of your lungs. I'll take your calls. I'll pull my shoulders back, take the heat, answer your questions, deal with the things that you guys think that we aren't doing a good enough job at, and the list goes on. You can call and complain. You can call and make comments. You can call and criticize. You can call and say, attaboy, attagirl. Doesn't really matter. But from 6:30 to 7:30, that's what's going to happen. So I'll take the heat. For those of you who have said that we're being too soft and we're not doing enough, meaning the show or WCPT or the broader progressive conversation. So I'll be prepared to take the hits. You guys be prepared to bring them. But also understand, with that comes some smoke back from me. So we'll see who actually is going to make the phone call. Devin's chuckling. I love it when Devin has his little wry smile like, yep. So that's Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30. Look forward to your calls. I'm putting it out there now to give you 2 days of advance notice so that you can call in with whatever you got. How about that, guys? We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have some Choose Views news for you, a couple of items from our daily reads and some of the current event items. And then in the 6:30 hour, as I said, we're going to talk about what progressives can do to fight back against Trump. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. After working several odd jobs in New York City, Henry Johnson found his way into the National Guard during World War I. Johnson was assigned to the 369th Infantry Regiment, but the all-black unit was better known as the Harlem Hellfighters. The Hellfighters' first task was assisting the French Fourth Army. On May 15, 1918, Hellfighter Johnson noticed Germans attempting to break in. Johnson retreated to get backup from the French troops, noticing German soldiers were attempting to kidnap another Hellfighter. Despite standing at only 5'4", Johnson sprung into action. With only 3 bullets and a bolo knife, Johnson was able to kill 4 enemy soldiers and wounded 21 others, causing them to retreat, saving himself and his men. However, Johnson received a total of 21 injuries all over his body, including his left foot being shattered. Johnson was discharged, and his papers did not show his heroism or his injury, leaving him unable to receive any disability compensation, leaving Johnson penniless at the time of his death at age 36. Johnson's heroism went unnoticed for decades until President Barack Obama awarded him the Medal of Honor in 2015.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Good morning. You're waking up with Richard Chew.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
We're live and ready to hear from you. Text or call us now at 773-763-9278. Same number. Simple as that. Let's get the conversation going on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to Choose Views. Of course, our Credo mobile phone and text number is 773-763-9278. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company, guys, that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito's guests are Nina Burleigh, journalist, best-selling author, documentary producer, and publisher of the American Freak Show Substack newsletter. Anders Croy, communications director at Florida Watch. Daniel Biss, mayor of Evanston and candidate for Congress. And legal expert Lisa Graves. Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years and a month and a week. Today on Driving It On with Patty Vasquez, Patty will be joined by co-hosts Peter Sorellis and Warren Prees of Source Solar, and their guests include radio host Ben Kamenos of WHBY Appleton, Wisconsin, and Jess McElvain of Plainfield Pride. The gala takes place this Friday the 13th. Jason, stay home. Driving It On with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. That's my girl Patty. Central, WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and of course Facebook. All right, couple of quick Choose Views news items for you guys, keeping you up to date on some things that happen that might impact your life. Canned foods about to get pricey. Canned foods have long been considered a cost-effective choice for shoppers. I love my canned soup, I won't lie, but that could be changing. Foods can require a kind of sheet metal that is mostly made abroad, meaning it's now subject to the Trump administration's 50% tariff. That's absolutely stupid, Devin. Canned soup going to go up in price. I mean, it's a budgetary thing for all of us. I love canned soup. I always have. Mix and match. The added cost could drive up store prices for canned goods as much as 15% per one trade group estimate. Plus, as many as 20,000 U.S. jobs in food can manufacturing could be at risk if consumers are driven away by higher canned food prices. Listen, y'all, Donald Trump is an idiot in this space. He's not acting like he is one. 20,000 jobs in different communities, that's going to impact then some small business is going to suffer. Because the 20,000 jobs in a community where people spend their money in that community, he's an idiot in this space. No apologies there. I know I've said to you guys, and to keep my commitment about not name calling, but in this space, that's what's appropriate. Inflation concern did ease in May. Expect consumers inflation expectations, among consumers declined last month slightly. A period in which trade tensions between U.S. and China did subside a little bit, according to the New York Federal Reserve survey. Price growth outlook for 1 year ahead fell 3.2% in May from 3.6% in April. A small reduction. Whole Foods distributor was hit by a hack, and this is important for those of you who may have your stuff tied through Whole Foods. One of the largest grocery distributors in North America hit by a cyber attack. United National Foods revealed in a SEC filing that it shut down part of its IT systems beginning last Thursday, when it first registered the intrusion. The company's operations continue to be disrupted yesterday, and there's no word yet on when they'll be able to back up the problem completely. UNFI is Whole Foods' primary distributor and sells products to more than 30,000 stores across the U.S. and Canada. So all I can say is for those who do shop at Whole Foods, whether you do or you don't, you know someone, just tell them to pay attention to their app on their phone, because that could be something that can indirectly be impacted. So just FYI, folks. United Health weighs selling the company. $1 billion potential sale. It's weighing multiple offers for Banmédica, its Latin American subsidiary, according to Reuters. The largest health insurer in the United States, United Health has been looking to refocus its efforts domestically and exit Latin America since 2022. However, since recent prices and recent crises have taken place, including reports of a criminal probe, the ouster of CEO Andrew Whitty and the executive's fatal shooting have added urgency to the endeavor. So we'll see what happens there. And if you are a streaming person, Warner Brothers and Discovery are to split. The entertainment behemoth Warner Brothers Discovery will split into two separate public companies by 2026, according to the company. Current CEO David Zaslav will helm the streaming and studios company, which will include the movie business and HBO Max, while CFO Gunnar Wunderfels will oversee the global network side of things, including CNN, TBS, and Warner's other cable channels. The breakup essentially reverses the 2022 merger of Warner Media and Discovery Communications, according to the Wall Street Journal. Rival Comcast is undergoing a similar split, as we know. So just pay attention in that space. Watch your bill. Make sure that if these things do happen, that you don't see any dramatic changes upward in the cost of those streaming services that many of us subscribe to. So there you go, guys. A couple of Choose Views news items this morning. Some other current events for you guys to be paying attention to. Well, before I do that, let me hit a couple of things from what's happening over at Heartland Signal on X. At our heartlandsignal.com website. Wisconsin Republicans, check this out, reject a Democratic proposal 4-12 to fund a program to bring more doctors into the state. How about that? They don't want to bring. This is a group of Republicans that talk about taking care of people, that talk about being pro-life, that talk about helping folks out and making things better, but not wanting to fund to bring more doctors to the state. Why would you not want to have more medical professionals in the state? See, this is part of what I wrote in my article on Substack, is that the MAGA Republicans, GOP, there's got to be some craven part of their being right now that wants to see this pain and suffering for people. Doctors, by and large, are there to help us improve our health, get better when we get ill. Stay away from getting ill if we can. So why would the politicians vote to not bring more doctors to your state to help in some capacity improve the medical positions of people in your state? It's funding something like that is an investment in the future of the better health of the community. So I'll get a chance to glance through the bill or through the proposal and see if there's anything crazy in there. But on its face, why would you not want to fund more doctors being able to come to your state to help your citizenry improve and have better lives? But that's the GOP for you right now, guys. I'm just telling you. That's where the GOP is. They're not about helping people. They've been lying to people, and in some cases, people that want to be lied to because they don't want to deal with reality. We as progressives, I believe, deal with reality in a different way, and that's to fix things and to move things forward. Another thing that's over at Heartland Signal on X, this has made me chuckle. This is a quote. Despite his feud with Donald Trump, Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, a Republican from Rochester, Wisconsin, thanks Elon Musk for spending millions on the state Supreme Court race to influence Wisconsin voters. So people who don't think that, we always hear this comment, George Soros is funding the Democratic Party. He's taking everything away from everybody, and he's doing... George Soros is always the bad guy billionaire that's, quote unquote, a supporter of Democratic policies and Democratic leaders. He's always the bad guy. But we got. This is what's crazy. Just slow down for a minute and just hear this out. A quote: despite his feud with President Donald Trump, Wisconsin Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, a Republican from Rochester, thanks Elon Musk for spending millions on the state Supreme Court race to influence Wisconsin voters. But yet, George Soros is the boogeyman and the bad guy on the left. And you've got an elected official, you've got a person that's holding an office that's thanking an outside influencer, the quote-unquote do with the most money. I'm not going to call him the richest because I look at the richness as a little bit different. To do with apparently the most money. Some say it's Putin. But that being said, Elon Musk, an outside influencer, having a state official thank him for spending money, millions, to influence Wisconsin voters. Wisconsin voters should be PO'd at this dude, Robin Vos, for this statement. Check it out over at Heartland Signal on X. You can pull it up and you can see it for yourself. Make your way over there. All righty. Some other current events that you guys probably saw at this point. It's we couldn't really play the clip because it's more visual than it is audio. How do I want to put this? They're shooting at journalists now. 3 different journalists have been shot with, quote unquote, I like the phrase, non-lethal rounds. Well, depending on where that round hits you and from how close a rubber bullet hits you, it could be very lethal. You hit somebody in the wrong place in their head with a rubber bullet, and from depending on the range or distance, that could be a lethal blow. So the non-lethal rounds is like stupid to say. But that being said, Australian. There was a journalist that was hit by a round. I'm not going to call it a non-lethal round, but one that apparently, I saw the clip, I saw the video, you guys may have seen it by now, that struck her in her left leg. Australian journalist, her name is Lauren Tomasi, was hit by a, quote, non-lethal round fired by a police officer while standing in the middle of the street, clearly taping a segment for 9 News in Australia. That's the group she works for. This took place in Los Angeles. And I saw the clip. I don't know if you saw it, Devin, or not. But it's clear. This guy, he was holding his gun kind of vertically. And he literally brought the gun down and aimed it at her. I don't know the exact distance. He couldn't have been more than 25 feet away from her, maybe 50 feet. It doesn't matter. She was clearly reporting. Had her headset on, had her mic on, had a microphone in her hand rather, and there was a cameraman that was filming it. So there was clearly, it's like if you and I were doing a set in Los Angeles right now, and I'm filming, and you're the reporter, and I've got a camera on you, and there's a phalanx of police officers 25, 30 feet behind us. They can see that I'm filming you. It's not you're a protester that's coming after them. And on top of that, your back is turned to them. You're looking at me in the camera. So there's clearly no threat. Like Devin's gonna back into a police officer and harm that police officer. So this guy literally lowered his weapon and drew fire on this woman and shot her in the leg with a rubber bullet. I mean, what the hell is wrong with America when this is the kind of stuff that people are doing, when law enforcement is doing? This is not law enforcement. Those are a bunch of punks. That's not law enforcement. She was doing her job and not a threat to this dude. What a weak A to be able to do that. I mean, but we understand that this is all based on this clown in the White House. This weak A clown in the White House that MAGA and some, I guess you could say, regular GOP folks decided to vote for. This is on you, MAGA. There is no, you have no exit strategy for this other than to apologize and let the world know that this is your fault. This is not the Democrats' fault. The Democrats have to fight hard, as I said in my article. We have to fight. The Democratic elected officials have to fight hard every day, and so do we. But this is on MAGA. This is on the GOP. The GOP, the elected GOP officials in the House, the Senate, and on a state level, this is squarely in your lap. You're causing this problem. It is not the people who are here trying to, that might be here, quote, illegally because they don't have their papers right. But how in the hell do you roll into a courthouse or a courthouse building when someone's there to get their papers right and then you want to arrest the person? That's just punk behavior. So this is a threat to journalists all over the country now, because now you get people with officers with rubber bullets lowering their guns on and firing on people. Journalists doing their job. Boy, oh boy. All right, Dev, let's take a quick break, guys. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. If you're over 50 and tired of your wireless bill getting higher and higher, there are 4 things to consider. 1, how much data are you really using? As we get older, we use less data on our wireless phone, but you're probably still paying for an unlimited plan that was designed for 20-somethings. 2, if you see Get a Phone on Us, get your sneakers out and run the other way. No one is giving you a free phone. You are paying for that phone over time with an overpriced rate plan and a long-term commitment. 3, check the fine print on that $15 a month plan. It's probably an intro price that'll double or triple later. You might even have to pay for several months of service up front. Number 4, be aware of cable company wireless plans. Most of your usage will be on Wi-Fi instead of 5G, and your calls and battery life could suffer. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable, nationwide service without the big wireless bill. Our plans start at just $20 a month.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 61. By Wednesday, sunshine, high of 88 degrees. Thursday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 56.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. All right, let's grab a quick call. Let's go to Leo in South Carolina. Hey, good morning, Leo. Welcome to the show.
Good. Well, I wish I could say it was good morning, but given the riots in L.A., I don't know how long we can say that again. You're absolutely right. This is the worst part of law enforcement, and I say that because most of what they're doing is 100% trained. In my department, we call it field force training, or riot control training, and it is 100% non-discriminatory. If you are not wearing my uniform, my job is to push you out. I 100% will not do it. If we get called out for field force training, I'm going to refuse and going to get fired. I hate it. I hated the training. It is absolutely terrible. Now,
what is it about the training? So let me ask you a question, Leo, and thanks for the call, by the way. What is it about the training? What was it that was your moment where you went, I'm not doing that? Or if I get called to do that, I'm not going to do it. So help us understand that.
Because this is why I became a cop, was because I saw these videos. So George Floyd was an absolutely horrendous event, and it was terrible and it was disgusting, and that's what got me thinking that, you know, I mean, that George Floyd turned me to defund the police. And then I watched, I think it was the Buffalo riots where, not riots, the protests, where the field force crew, the riot crew, shoved over that like 80-year-old man, cracked his skull on the concrete.
Yep.
And one young riot cop bends down to help a man in need. And his supervisor, his superior, picks him up and says, no, you hold the line. Now, that's the training. I've received that training.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, you do not compromise the line for any purpose.
Right.
But that's not that.
Well,
Leo,
listen, Leo, everybody knows, as I've come to know over the last few years, not everyone that's in offices of service, you as on the medical side and you on the law enforcement side. So you've kind of got, you got the double whammy of service and seeing some crazy stuff. Everybody's that does this is not built like you, Leo. I think all of us who've had you call into our various shows across the country recognize that you're built differently in that space. You come from a position of understanding and compassion, and that's something that is. It's a mix of craziness in your own system to be that guy. And I mean, let me say it this way. It's kind of like, okay, how do I be today? My internal compass is not allowing me to do this. And so I first have to give you a shout out to you for having the courage to do the work that you do. And I do that every time we get a chance to talk. But I also want to give a shout out to you for saying it, because the folks are from what I've seen and what I've read, and I've tried to really do a good job of this, folks are peacefully protesting. But it seems as though, once again, that the heavy-handedness has caused people to do what, unfortunately, is the dark side, which is to push back in a way that will cause law enforcement to then, exercise their training in certain situations.
Yes, and that's, in my opinion, that's the point. Now, part of the reason I'm never going to do something like this is when somewhat uniformed officers, and apparently they are DHS, apparently they are ICE. I still believe they are Proud Boys and Patriot Front, but they have probably been deputized to take these positions because they are hiding their badges, which I am not legally allowed to do. If you want to know my badge number, I have to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you on air because I do want to keep my job for as long as I can. But if I'm in front of you, I will tell you my badge number. I have no problem doing it. I'm actually legally obligated, but I also am trying to do a good job. Therefore, I'm not hiding anything. But when someone who's dressed like me is not giving you a criminal infraction to detain you or arrest you, then that is by definition kidnapping. And when the enforcement arm of government is kidnapping people, what is an inappropriate protest? So I'm not going to come push back on that. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I've been scared when I've been notified that I'm going to take part in a warrant service that I'm going to lose my job, because if they tell me I'm going to enforce an administrative warrant, which I have on paper that I cannot do, but I've also heard from my supervisors that we're going to help them if they ask, I'm not going to do it. And, I keep telling my wife, this might be the day. This might be the day I lose my job.
Well, so let me ask you another quick question before we let you go.
Yes,
what do you think will be, I don't know if you can even know the answer. I'm sure you have an opinion. What do you think will be the thing that'll be the course correct right now with the situation in Los Angeles? What do you think it's going to take to course correct where we potentially could go. 700 Marines have been, instructed to step up. And what do you think is going to pull this back?
Again, this is why I took the job. It's going to take people in law enforcement to say, I'm not doing it. It's going to have to take people in the military to say that this goes against the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Like, we cannot fire. Like, the Marines should absolutely not be there.
Yeah.
And the National Guard should be there protecting people, not harming people. Yeah, but here we are, and this has been since the inception of this country that uniformed people are more often than not used to oppress people than to help people. Now, I know there are cases where we have helped people, and there are cases where we have been called to help out in Selma, and that's fantastic. But we need people in my profession, people in the military need to step up and say this goes against everything we stand for.
I think that this is also part of the reason that not only did General Milley and Joe Biden both in speaking as they were leaving office, or Milley before, but certainly Joe Biden before he left, when he spoke, he said, remember, and I'm paraphrasing, that you swore an oath to the Constitution, not to a person, and to remember your oath. He like Kamala Harris, were very, very aware that this could and probably would happen, instigated by the White House and the administration. So, Leo, listen, man, as always, we appreciate your contribution and your dedication to what you do. To those folks in South Carolina, they're blessed to have you. And we tell you to stay safe because I tell you to stay safe because I mean it. So please be safe out there, and thanks for the hard work that you do and the commitment that you have to serving and protecting.
Yes, thanks, sir.
All right, man. Have a great day today and be well.
You too.
Bye-bye. Yeah, there needs to be more folks of service, and particularly in law enforcement, that are built like Leo. And that's probably a big ask. But I like what he did. Like's not the right word. I'm compelled for greater thought about what he said about the military and law enforcement are the ones that are going to have to step up. He said the National Guard. He didn't say law enforcement. He said National Guard and the Marines have to step up and say, no, I'm not going to do that. That, to me, would be one of those lines in the sand drawn by those two entities. If they were to say to the administration, I know you're the commander-in-chief, but I'm not going to do that because we're not supposed to turn our weaponry, our force on citizens. And I know I'm curious to see where that will go and what if what Leo said is not accurate, but if it's something that will actually happen. I got an interesting text. I was talking earlier about this reporter that was shot with a quote unquote non-lethal rubber bullet. And thanks to 630, I don't give out names unless they put their names in the text. Rubber bullets are not rubber. They are metal bullets with a rubber coating. While they are designed to cause less damage, they can absolutely still be lethal. That's correct. So thank you for that additional bit of information. Drawing fire onto someone that's reporting, anybody that's not attacking you, is just absolutely craven, chaotic, and disgusting behavior. And you got a shield, you got weaponry, you've got guys and gals around you, and you're going to fire on a reporter and shoot her in the leg. I mean, thank God he didn't shoot her in the back of the head. He could have fractured her. That bullet could have fractured, if he had hit her in her neck, could have fractured one of her vertebrae, and she could be paralyzed from the neck down. Just to give you guys for the MAGAs that are out there, the GOP, whomever, that's not, quote, on our side, to make sure I'm making the distinction between our two points of view. For those of you who support this, that woman could have been paralyzed. She could have been paralyzed. If the bullet had struck her in one of her vertebrae in and around her shoulders and neck, she could be paralyzed. Or what if she had turned around at the moment that impact took place and it hit her squarely in her eye? She could be blind in one eye. So, this is not what we can stand for. We have to fight. We're going to take a quick break, come back, grab a call, and I got to get to my 6 things that we can be doing to fight back against Donald Trump and this administration. 773-763-9278. That's the Credo Mobile phone and text line. Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. We'll be right back.
When it comes to banking, you need a bank you can trust. A bank with a rock-solid reputation and the highest integrity. A bank that gives you the attention and respect you deserve.
ABOC first opened its doors in downtown Chicago in 1922, and we've made our name on deep expertise, best-in-class service, and a strong commitment to our customers. We know the Chicago business market inside and out and can help you craft the perfect banking solution, no matter what type of business you're in.
And if you're looking for a banking partner for your labor union, we can bring the type of expertise that only comes from a bank that was founded by labor unions and still has union employees and shareholders to this day.
Whether you need a deposit account, loan, trust services, or investment management, ABOC has you covered. Let's work together to manage your finances today while planning for a better tomorrow. ABOC, a bank built on a strong foundation.
Visit aboc.com to learn more. Member FDIC.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is our Credo mobile phone and text line. Let's get to a quick call. Let's go to Troy here in Illinois. Good morning, Troy, and welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Chew?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing. Got a fight going on, right?
Yeah, we do.
Say, Mr. Chew, I want to say this for you. Say, you remember that picture back here came on years ago? You remember they used to my Chicken George?
I remember that character from Roots.
Right. Is Donald Trump in the Kingdom Hill?
Wait, Troy, hold on. You can't just throw that out there and walk away from it so quickly. You mean chicken Donald? Donald the chicken? Taco Donald? Chicken flavored tacos with Donald?
Yeah, oh wow. Oh, that's too much right there. I was listening to you yesterday when you talking about when they come to Chicago.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a different ball game, you know.
Troy, I don't want to be that guy, but you know what I'm saying, right? I hope it doesn't. I really have prayed, and not to make anybody uncomfortable with me saying that, I have literally said, please, universe, don't let this come to Chicago. Because we're built differently here. People don't realize that, and that is a concern I have. And I'm just going to stay on positivity in that regard. But
yeah, you're right about that. Another thing I want to say, I think I blame. I'm gonna say this, and people gonna get upset, but I really blame Joe Biden. I blame him.
For what?
He should have been released Donald Trump record when he was acting Donald. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, okay, all right. So in terms of blaming Joe Biden, there's some things that I wish he had done differently. Like I wish.
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
All right. So we can change. We can change the word from blame to he had done differently. Like there were times, Troy, and folks can get upset about this or not. I wish that Joe Biden had said we got to let go of Merrick Garland and have a different attorney general. I think there's a lot of people that would have agreed with that real time, and if that's a criticism of Joe Biden, okay, so it is. He would have understood. He understands that, and there are other things. I mean, I've had my comments about what I wish President Biden had done differently, or President Obama had done differently.
Right.
But yes, here we are.
He should have been went back He should have been got rid of Gardner. He should have been got. He could have got with that black attorney named Eric Holder.
Well, Eric Holder did a better job of enforcement than Merrick Garland did. But he could have brought him in. I would have thought that he should have said, listen, I've worked with Eric Holder before. That's the person I would like to see as attorney. There's so many other people. Susan Rice would have been a great attorney general.
Oh, yeah.
Or Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I mean, she would have been a great attorney general. It would have ticked off a lot of folks on the right, but I think that would have been just sublime for her to have been either of them to be her attorney general.
Right.
So.
He should have been thrown in a Liz Cheney outlaw. I'm just saying. Yeah, we'll have a different outcome.
Hey, Troy, are you headed out to get some chicken right now?
I love that chicken from the White House. That's a papa. I love that chicken from the White House.
Love that chicken from the White House.
Yeah.
That's actually, you know what, Troy? Some creative genius has got to pick up on that on the progressive left. Love that chicken from the White House.
Yeah, I love that chicken instead of Popeye from White House.
There you go, Troy.
You know what? I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get off. Okay.
What's that?
What that lady name that she took over for you that day?
Michelle.
Well, I'm gonna close with those. I just like I said, I jump out of the airplane without a parachute for her.
Well, I'm sure she knows. I'll let her know if she doesn't. All right, Troy. Thanks for the call, man.
Okay, we'll go to the White House and get some chicken.
All right, man. Be well. Stay safe.
Okay.
Oh my God. There's a comedy for the morning. Everything from. Listen, we need some laughter right now, even if it's crazy A laughter. But Troy, the point that Troy was making in the craziness of our laughing is Donald Trump's a chicken. Just is. And, you know, I think that Chrissy Teigen, and it's now in the congressional record. I can't say the words on the air, but it's in the congressional record from the testimony of what Chrissy Teigen said about Donald Trump. It's it's spot on. And you guys can look it up. The acronyms, the letters are PAB. And you guys can figure it out from there. All right. I got a few short minutes that I want to just cover these things that are put together that I think we should be leaning into. People ask, so, okay, well, what are we doing to go forward, to fight forward? And in my opinion, there's more. But these are things that all of us can do that are not elected officials, but most certainly can be implemented. You can take one at a time, or you can try to do them all. But this is the positions that we got to take. These are the positions that we must take to fight back against Trump right now. We can't wait and see any longer, like what's going to happen. We can't. The Democratic elected officials can't wait and see, and we as individuals can't wait and see what's going to happen, because we know it's happening. So we have to fight right now, every day, right now. There is no longer. There was a gentleman, I can't remember. I'll get his name, but there was a gentleman who was on with Nicole Wallace yesterday that said he's past the time now where he used to give people space to say certain things and let them work through it. That was inappropriate, that was wrong, that was harmful. He says right now I'm bringing a sledgehammer to break through that in real time. And I've been saying that for months now. Real time. Don't wait and see. When someone says something that's garbage, you have to address it right then, right there, on the spot, in the moment. It's risky, but the other risk is not worth it. So don't wait and see. We kind of have to be past that. The second thing, protect the vulnerable in your daily life. Protect people. Right now, we've got mothers and babies that are being snatched by this crazy A administration. And Tom Homan is as big of a punk as Donald Trump is. I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it because that's what I believe. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not going to be worried, oh, my God, if it gets Tom Homan is a thug. He's not even a thug. He's just a bully and a punk. Maybe a thug too. Protect the vulnerable in your daily life. Protect them from these people that are snatching people off the street, moms and babies. And in that, we take a stand on immigration. We have to keep pushing our local government to do as much as they can to push the state and federal to take a stand now. This whole deportation of folks, yeah, Obama deported people too, but the way in which people are being deported today, I mean, frankly, in the last 6 presidencies, all presidents have deported people for reasons that were legitimate and legal. The manner in which no one has said, Mayor Johnson, Governor Pritzker, Governor Newsom, Mayor Bass, the list goes on. London, Breed in San Francisco, and in New York, they've all said, if they're not here legally, we have to find a way to have them here or they have to be deported. But let's take a stand as individuals on immigration to help the people who want to be here and be here the right way, be here. The other part, which is, I've said this for the longest time, I'll just sort of put this into this little outline. Tell Congress to fight Trump. We have to have Democrats in Congress that are going to be willing to fight against Trump. And at the same time, make sure that you're also telling Republicans. They are the ones that have the numbers right now. They are ultimately the ones that are responsible. The Republicans are the ones that can actually fix this. So if you're in a Republican district, or if you voted Republican and you don't like this, then it's your responsibility to show up at the town hall, call their local office, call their federal office, and tell them to stop this right now. Those are for Republican voters to be doing. If you truly are about fairness, balance, and being patriotic and believing in people. If you can make donations, personal donations to progressive organizations, then do so. Or contact them and find a way to volunteer to be a part of what they're doing, to be helpful. And last but not least, be the media. Yesterday, and this is what made me think about putting this together. Yesterday, the question was, how do we get a message through when the mainstream media is presenting itself in the way in which it is and not covering things? And how do we, know where are we going to get the information and how we're going to get the information put out? I said this before, guys. Get with 2 or 3 of your friends where you've got a message. Do what Karen Byrne has done and her friend Anita from San Antonio have done. They put together a podcast. They're in 2 different cities, guys, miles away. Do what Kurt Mullet has done. Create your own media. You've got something to say. If you don't know how to do it, Google it, reach out to me. I'll help you. But be your own message. Put out your thoughts, your ideas. Connect with 2 or 3 people and create your own little media entity. You, somebody else and somebody else.com. And create your own. Because that is where we are. That is part of our responsibility. That's maybe you're not a letter writer, but you've got something to say. You like to write. Put that into a media context, i.e. a podcast. Start your own Substack. I mean, you could write an article every week and get it out there. You'd be shocked. So don't wait and see. Get active now. Protect the vulnerable in your daily life. Take a stand on immigration. Tell Congress, all of Congress, to fight Trump. Make personal donations of either money or your time. And be your own form of media. Be the media. Be the messenger. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new Care Watch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The Care Watch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. The Care Watch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your Care Watch for free. Call us to get your Care Watch right now.
800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. 800-741-5819. That's 800-741-5819.
From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. AP's Lisa Dwyer reports preparations are underway for the military parade in Washington, D.C.
The U.S. Army is unloading tanks and other equipment in a rail yard in Maryland in preparation for the military parade in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday.
Overall, that is 90 vehicles of the 150, which will be in the parade on 14 June.
Camille Stockhoper with the Army's 3rd Armored Corps says it's a good training experience.
It's going to cost a little bit of money, but we're getting training value out of this. But also we get to tell our story.
Adding,
overall, this is like a big recruiting event.
Army officials expect about 200,000 attendees for the evening military parade. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will face sharp questions from members of Congress in 3 separate Capitol Hill hearings beginning Tuesday. It's expected he'll be asked about his sharing of sensitive military details over a Signal chat and controversial spending by the Pentagon, including security upgrades to turn a Qatari jet into Air Force One, and pouring as much as $45 million into Saturday's military parade in D.C. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is scrambling to establish rules to guide 700 Marines being deployed to L.A. who could be faced with using force against protesters. In other news, activist Greta Thunberg has been deported from Israel after the Gaza-bound ship she was on was seized by the Israeli military. Thunberg was one of 12 passengers to board the Madeleine, a boat carrying aid destined for people in the Strip. Israel says these ships violate its naval blockade of Gaza. Russia sent waves of drones and missiles in an attack on 2 Ukrainian cities early Tuesday. Ukrainian officials say 3 people were killed and 13 injured. The attack hit the capital city of Kyiv and the southern port city of Odessa. This is AP News. At least 8 people have been killed in a shooting at a school in the Austrian city of Graz. The city's mayor says the suspected perpetrator has also died.
Mayor Elke Kar described the events as a terrible tragedy. The Austria press agency reports. The report adds the fatalities were 7 students and 1 adult. Kar also says that many people were taken to hospital with injuries. Special forces were among those sent to the Borg High School after a call at 10 a.m. local time. At 11:30, police wrote on social network X that the school had been evacuated and everyone had been taken to a safe meeting point, and they believe there's no longer any danger. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And officials say a French middle school employee was stabbed to death. And French officials say a French middle school employee was stabbed to death by a 15-year-old student during a bag check Tuesday. The incident happened at a school east of Paris. The student was detained.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 61. By Wednesday, sunshine, a high of 88 degrees. Thursday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 56.
Menards has all the tools and fasteners you need to finish your home improvement project. Whether you need standard nails for general construction or specialty nails for specific applications, you'll find them here. New Fast nails are made in the USA with the highest quality steel and have superior holding power. Check out our entire selection of New Fast nails in store today and see the rest of our deals in our flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to the show. 773-763-9278. We are always, as I say this, fortunate when we have a guest that is one of those people that's leaning into an area that's important on a local level. And the local could be Chicago local, or it could be Philadelphia, it could be Houston, it could be Seattle, it could be any city in America. And what I mean by that is education. Education is important on a local level anywhere in the country. And it most definitely is a part of our national conversation right now. With us this morning, that I'm pleased to have, let me put my glasses on because, sometimes it's hard to read things, is the executive director of Advance Illinois, an independent statewide agency that's an advocacy agency for education. And who would that be other than Robin Steans? Good morning, Robin, and welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning. Really happy to be here.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. My goodness. My comments about education being a national conversation are definitely, even though Advance Illinois is right here in the state of Illinois, your mindset about this is broader. It's about how do we make education, a better source and world-class for every Illinois student. But certainly, I'm sure that if you were in the state of Pennsylvania, you'd have the same point of view about the importance of all of our children, all of our kids being properly educated. Is that a fair statement to make?
Absolutely. And what's happening right now at the federal level is affecting students it may be that our focus has been here in Illinois, but never has what's happening at the federal level had a more profound and chaotic impact on what's happening at the local level right now.
Chaotic is the word that's unfortunately, it's the word of the day as it relates to this administration. Robin, I didn't mean to skip over this, but just take a moment and let our listeners know, let our listeners know a little bit more about you and your background and how you became the executive director of Advance Illinois.
Sure. So I started my professional life as a teacher. I was a high school teacher in Boston and spent some time in San Francisco and then here in the Chicago Public Schools. And I ultimately went on to get my law degree and have been doing education policy work for the last 20 plus years here in Illinois, including as the founding executive director of Advance Illinois. And Advance Illinois is a bipartisan education policy and advocacy organization. And our goal is just to make sure every child in Illinois has access to high-quality early childhood, K-12, universities, and can really live up to their full potential. And honestly, we find that really does cut across all those political lines when you just talk about what you say all the time, facts. When you just stick to the facts and you stick to students, there's a lot of common ground, and our job is to find that and push on it.
Yeah, this is, you like Mayor Johnson have something in common, and that is when it comes to your children. Your children go to public schools, and he proudly speaks to that, and you do as well. And so this is not meant to sound anything other than a genuine question. Why do you have your children in Chicago Public Schools?
I mean, it's and I think that is at the heart of the national conversation that's happening right now. I deeply believe in public education. I think that it is one of the most important institutions in this country. I think it creates opportunities for all. It brings people together. It creates common understanding of our history. It ensures that people have the tools that they need to go on and succeed. It brings us in community with each other and creates common culture and values and stories. And there is literally no more important institution. And I'll go a step further and say, I think one of the reasons that the United States has been such a powerhouse on the world stage, be it economically or otherwise, is because we have invested in public education. It has been a priority for all children to have that opportunity to learn, develop skills, and live into their potential. And we've done that more deliberately than most other countries. So it's really scary to see us begin to potentially backtrack on that, even as other countries are taking our playbook, it's the right playbook, and doing it one better, as we are sort of de-arming. It's baffling to watch.
You're being kind.
That's why my kids all went to public school.
I'm going to say, Robin, it's a damn shame. I mean, and for those, please excuse, I don't say, I say the curse words we can say on the air, but it is a doggone shame that our playbook, and it's something we should be proud of, that our playbook's being used, but it shouldn't be we shouldn't be taking a back seat when it comes to education.
Right.
We want our playbook to be used because it's been prosperous. It's been not in just the monetary sense. People have prospered in their lives because of the power of our public education system. And that's why I wanted to ask you what people may have seen as a pandering question. But no, I wanted it to come from someone like you who started out. You were an educator, and you saw the value of that. And now, as we go forward, how important it is that we maintain that. And unfortunately, we're catching hell from the federal side when it comes to this conversation. How are you navigating? How is Advance Illinois, I should say, and you at the helm as executive director, navigating what is coming from Washington when it comes to this conversation?
So we've got kind of a multi-pronged way of staying sane in all of this. I don't think there's an awful lot of change that is being sort of forced out from D.C. on a lot of fronts, with very little process, very little respect for, the rules, the laws, the way you get input and go about significant change. There's just sort of, we're going to declare by fiat. And I'm not sure there's any area that's seeing more activity than education. So number one is just staying on top of it and figuring out who are those. We don't typically do federally facing education policy. Most education policy in the country happens at the state level. I don't know if your listeners all know that. Sometimes it feels like it's really local to your school or district, or that there's a lot happening federally, but most of it really sits at states. But you've got this moment where the feds are all of a sudden like changing the rules in so many directions. So number one is just understanding them. Number two is building community. So we are regularly bringing together stakeholders from around Illinois to meet and to talk and to make sure, again, we've got good information. There are some very smart people at the national level who are paying close attention, not only to executive orders, budget proposals, budget actions, rescissions, contracts are being breached. Every time you turn around, which is not something you expect of your federal government. When they say, okay, you can take a little bit longer to spend your federal relief dollars, you expect you're going to be able to take a little bit longer to spend your federal relief dollars. And you go ahead and you make decisions based on that, and then they change course. So we've got people who are at the federal level that we regularly bring in to help update us, as well as sort of sharing information we're all hearing. And then we're in community with folks. What are you seeing in your schools, in your child care centers, in your local universities? And then the other thing that we're looking to do is, okay, we know the things that Illinois needs to be doing. How can we make sure we can continue to effectively stay the course on the priorities here in Illinois, despite all the federal noise? And then where can we lend our voice at the federal level? And where can we bring others together to have some collective action to push back on some of these proposed changes that are particularly heinous?
Yeah, and again, you're being kind in that, but I've got to ask you this question. And I appreciate you breaking that down as it relates to how you're navigating through those pressures. They are crazy, and they are coming without any real plan. It's just stop. Don't do it anymore. Don't provide any support or funding, and there's no plan there. And that makes it difficult. It's just the same thing with the tariffs. There's no plan there. It's just we're going to impose these tariffs, and it doesn't give businesses the time to plan around how the tariffs could actually be implemented in a cogent way. So here's my question. I've got to ask you, and it's not to put you on the spot, but it's just one that I would be curious someone in your role and your position would handle. If you had a sit-down meeting with Linda McMahon, what would be maybe the first one or two questions that you would be compelled to ask her?
I would want to understand, obviously it's a top priority for them to get rid of the Department of Education. And I thought what was so interesting is when the president signed the executive order calling for the dismantling of the Department of Education, which he doesn't have the authority to do. That is established by law. It's got to be changed by law. There has to be a process and input, so they're trying their level best to subvert that or go around that or gut it to the point where, it technically exists, but it's not able to do anything. But I think my question would be, what's your theory of action? And the countries that the president cited while he was signing the order were some high-performing countries like Finland, et cetera. Finland has a strong central educational system. It's got common academic standards for its students. It puts significant amount of funding at the national level into education and provides really significant wraparound services. And so it's ironic to me. I guess I'd want to know, what's your end game? So you're saying there's something we want to get rid of. How do you see that benefiting students? How is that going to strengthen the opportunities that are available to students? Because I don't think they've thought that through. And I'm going to give one small example. The federal government is where data is collected and reported. And that seems like a small, relatively unsexy thing. But because I know it's something that is an anchor of everything you do, facts matter.
Yep.
Well, facts rely on data and research. And there is literally no place. Like, a first reaction when they cut the department is the arms of the education department, the IES and the NCES that manage data, went from 135 people to 3. Jesus. I want you to hear that again. You cannot
say that, Robert. I'm sorry. Say that again for all of us in the cheap seats that didn't catch it. Please say that one more time. So
there's two: the Institute for Educational Statistics and the National Center for Educational Sciences. And I could be mixing up the S's. It's just IES and NCES.
NCSS, right?
Right. IES went from, I believe, 135 employees down to 3. And NCES was cut in half. Now, these are the ones that administer the, what's called the nation's report card. Every other year we do a sampling of students. How are we doing? What do we know? These are the places that gather information on, students from all backgrounds, civil rights information. These are the groups that make sure that we have good information about who's going to college and how they're doing there, and are they staying, are they succeeding. This is where all of the nation's data, whatever you want to understand how your student's doing, how your state is doing, you need these federal data sources. And when you cut the arms of the department that are responsible for them, you basically gut them. Mm-hmm. We are watching those data systems fall apart in real time. And I don't know how you make informed decisions that are good for children if you don't have basic information. I don't know how, if you understand if programs are working, who they're working for, what makes them better, what makes them more efficient, if you don't have basic information. And there's nobody in a position to gather that information the way the feds are. So I'd want to ask Linda McMahon, why wouldn't you want the federal government to be in that business? Why would you gut our ability to collect data and use it? I literally don't understand how that's good for children.
And it seems
so I'd pull on that one thread and just see if there's a reasonable point of view.
When you pull on that thread, though, Robin, you know as well as I do that the entire garment would unravel. And that would be good because then it would show the mediocrity of her in that role. She doesn't understand the impact and the import of that role as it relates to educating our students and making our citizens, our future leaders stronger. I don't think she has a clue because, to your point, their theory of action, I wrote that down. I'd never heard that before. There doesn't seem to be a plan. There's no, quote, business plan that's been laid out. And if it is, the American people should know what it is because so many of our children are educated through our public school system. We should know what that is. It doesn't need to be a secret. I can understand where defense needs to keep some secrets, unless you're Pete Hegseth. But, we need to know how our children are going to be the benefactors of this incredibly important department. So I've wanted to ask you that question. Like, what would you ask her?
Even if her view, this is not the first administration that has said they think that the Department of Education should go away and education should be the purview of the states. Just let the states do their thing. Even if you believe that, you want to make sure they've got enough funding. Mm-hmm. They're talking about cutting education funding by in half or more over, a very short period of time. Again, I'm trying to figure out how that's good for children and how they believe those cuts, as massive as they are being proposed, can possibly be replaced at the state or the local level. And again, how taking away those dollars in such scale is good for children. So even if you want to push it out to the states, wouldn't you want them to have the resources that they need?
Bingo.
Wouldn't you want them to have the data that they need? So it doesn't even make sense. Even if they think states should have more control, they've got to have the resources and the information to use that control effectively for kids.
And then where is the money that's being cut going to ultimately go if from that federal budget? So let's pivot real quickly. And we're talking with Robin Steans, who is the executive director of Advance Illinois, about education, about advocacy, about improving statewide education here in Illinois. But obviously, Robin has some thoughts and some ideas about how we look at public education on a national level. Here in Illinois, what would you say right now are going to be your, biggest challenges, but at the same time, your biggest opportunities for success?
Well, I do think that, as we were just talking about before, I do think activating people and people understanding and paying attention and sort of being reminded public education matters. This is something that is essential. It is the bedrock, really, of everything that we do. And if we are not educating all children and we're not giving all children opportunities, we're all going to pay a price for that. And I think you've got a national government which is not as interested in making sure that everybody is served well. So part of our mission has always been to create that equity, to create those opportunities, to create that access, and that's not going to change. So, we're working hard on a new funding formula for our public universities. They are deeply and badly underfunded, and the ones that are the most underfunded are the ones that disproportionately serve students from low-income households, students of color, first-generation goers, and we really need to fix that. I think that is going to be hampered by the fact that we also need to make some additional investments. And so in a world of deep federal funding uncertainty, it makes decisions that call for new investment that much more difficult, number one. And number two, we badly need to both grow our teacher pipeline and diversify that pipeline. The research tells us that all students do better when they've got a more diverse set of teachers, but particularly students of color need to have teachers of color along the way. And there's a really deep mismatch right now. Over 50% of students in Illinois schools are now of color. Only 17% of teachers are. So in a world, the state has a 30-year plus program, the Minority Teachers of Illinois Scholarship Program. And in this moment where we are sort of turning civil rights on its head, that is under attack. There's a lawsuit against that program, and we're very likely in this climate going to need to change that program instead of directly saying this is just for candidates of color. It will be, I think the state will try to find ways to make sure that we continue to invest in growing the pipeline, that we continue to make financial burdens less of an issue for who wants to come in and be a teacher, but may not be able to be as direct as we've been to say, we want candidates of color because the research tells us that's what our students need. And I hate, again, that we can't use facts and research to direct policy. It's crazy to me. We know what our students need. We know how to get it. And we're being, under a great deal of pressure not to do what we know is best for kids. We've got a lot of things that we know to do. It's just going to be more challenging in this environment.
So I'm going to say this so I get it out. We have to have you back. You're a subject matter expert on this very important category of education, this very important resource of education in our country. So we definitely want to have you back with some regularity, Robin, because of what you're saying and why it's so incredibly important. Let's talk about allyship real quickly as we wrap up. Here in the state of Illinois, do you have allies? Are you are there folks that are supporting your work, your belief system, your objective?
Absolutely. I'm of the deep view, and I think the reason Advance Illinois has been as effective over the years as it has, nothing important gets done alone. It's got to be in partnership. And so everything we've ever done has been with lots and lots of allies and partners. And in this moment, we sent out a note when all the crazy started happening at the federal level in their decision, like every 3 minutes there's something new of grand significance coming out. We sent out a note to just 90 people to start with and said, look, let's get on a call and let's start talking together and making sure that we've got good information and we're finding places to work collectively. 80 people showed up, and that was on 2 days' notice.
Wow.
So there is a big group of us that is regularly now coming together, talking, and both sharing information but finding opportunities for common action. So, yes, because I think people across all divides and all regions of this state and this country care about public education. And they can see that you've got an administration right now which seems to have a very different, either doesn't believe in it at all or has a very different understanding of the role that it ought to play. So we need to be together to be clear about what we stand for and how to make sure that we stay the course on that at every level, community, state, and federally. So, yeah, lots of allies. And anybody that's listening that wants to get involved, advanceillinois.org. There's a Take Action page. Sign up. Let us know that you're interested in getting involved, and we will send out action alerts and give you opportunities to be heard.
And that's where I was going to go next. So thank you for being. You see that
we're on the same wavelength this morning.
I was just going to say, Robin is the prototype of a good educator. She's reading what the students in the classroom are probably thinking about what's going to happen next. And that's what I wanted to do, Robin, to just give you an opportunity to let folks know how they can get involved. I'm a big believer in our guests having the opportunity to say, this is how to find us. This is what we're doing. Here's how you can participate on a local level on a subject that's a national concern. So one more time, let folks know how they can get involved with Advance Illinois.
www.advanceillinois.org. There's a Take Action page. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for action alerts, and we'll let you know when and how you can make your voice heard. And we're getting better and better at being heard. But in the meantime, if you've got concerns, don't just find out who your local state rep and state senator are, though they should be making noise up to the feds. Find out who your congresspeople are, and make sure that you know how to be in touch so that when things happen you care about, you can let them know you're watching, because what we're seeing is one of the few things that is causing the federal government to pause, and there ain't much. But one of them is when they hit a buzzsaw, when there's enough noise on an issue that creates enough heat for enough congresspeople, you start to see them shift. So that's part of the chaos is we say something big and then there's a lot of noise and then they change course. You're seeing that on tariffs too, right? Big tariff, no tariff.
Yep.
We'll come back and do more tariff. Like you said, I don't know how anybody is planning, be they in the business sector or the education sector, with all the back and forth. But you got to be heard. That's one of the few things that seems to work.
I appreciate you saying those last few sentences, because I've been preaching that, if you will, respectfully for a long, long time. Stay involved. Make your voice heard. Do not sit quietly. Take action. Get connected with the group. Find the Robins of the world and say, how can I help? I don't want to sit in my silo and not do anything. This is an opportunity. And what Robin just said, guys, who are listening all over the country, that has meaning. So please take heed to what she just gave you as your homework assignment coming from a teacher. Robin, thank you for being with us this morning. I'm glad that you were able to take out some time. I really hope that you'll be willing to come back with a little bit of regularity, because this is an ongoing issue. It's a topic that's incredibly important to all of us. And I so appreciate you taking some time out this morning.
Really appreciate your having me. Share your sense of urgency, and I'm honored to be on it. Happy to have anytime you'll have me.
Absolutely. Robin Steans, thank you for being with us this morning. Have a great day and a great week. We'll talk soon, okay?
You too. Thanks so much.
All right, bye-bye. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. I mean, I say it every day, a couple times on every show. Get involved. Find a place to go and lean into something that's important to you. And Robin Steans, who is the executive director of Advance Illinois, just said it. And not just about education. She was talking about it in all different areas, you know? So she's plugged in. You could hear the urgency and excitement and passion in her voice on this. So take heed, y'all. You don't have to always believe me. I try to have folks on here who can talk about it better than I can in certain ways. All right, let's take a quick break. 773-763-9278. When we come back, we'll be talking with another subject matter expert on an area that's important to us. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's Morey spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. When Serena Williams won her title at the Tennis Grand Slam tournament, we know she gets the same prize money as her male counterpart. However, prior to 1973, that wasn't always the case. When Billie Jean King captured her first Wimbledon title in 1966, she was surprised to find out that the winner of the men's tournament received £2,000, while she only received £750. After being unable to find any tournaments for women, King and 8 other women formed their own tournament, the Virginia Slims Invitational, where each woman was paid $1 before posing for the famous picture of them each holding up their dollar, with the caption, "Contract Pros." While the move was bold, the pay discrepancies continued. King threatened to boycott the 1973 U.S. Open unless the women were paid the same as the men. Thanks to a grant from Band Deodorant, both the men and women's singles would take home $25,000. Despite the progress at the U.S. Open, it wouldn't be until 1984 that the Australian Open would execute equal pay, followed by the French Open in 2006, and finally Wimbledon in 2007. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're fighting for your rights.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see mostly sunny skies here for today with a high into the upper 70s. Winds out of the west around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 25. Then for tonight, mostly clear with a low near 61. By Wednesday, sunshine, a high of 88 degrees. Thursday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a high around 80. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 59.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to the show, 773-763-9278. Wasn't Robin just great, guys? Reach out to Advance Illinois. They are getting stuff done, and they're fighting the good fight, as we say. So make sure you reach out to her. I always say this because I'm humbled by the people that we are able to have on our show and their expertise in areas that are important to us, not just here in Illinois, but on a national level. And it's important, incredibly important, that we talk to these subjects that impact us and our everyday living. With us this morning is another person who is leaning in here in the state of Illinois, but knows that, like I've said so many times, me and 9 other people could be standing on any street corner here in Chicago. And what's common is that we're all breathing the same air. And that's one of the reasons why our climate has got to be so incredibly cared for and managed better. With us this morning is Addie Zwick. I almost said your full name. You like to go by Addie, but Addie, also known as Addie Zwick, with us this morning, who is one of the leads at the Climate Cabinet of Illinois. Good morning, Addie, and Addie, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks so much for having me on. And I go by both, so it's fine.
You go by both. Yes, I go by Richard and Rich. I have a lot of people that will call me Richard, and people will say, "Hey, Rich," and then there are those Addie who just call me Chew. So I'll answer to all three, because if they're calling my name, I guess they want me around for something. So, Addie, thanks for being with us this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to before you came on. We had Robin Steans, who is the head of Advance Illinois, executive director. Education's critically important. Your area with regard to the climate concerns, Climate Cabinet of Illinois, is also a critically important part of our conversation. And we've been through some tough weeks since the inauguration of Donald Trump. But take a moment, if you can, and just help our listeners know a little bit more about you, a little bit more about the organization, and then we'll get into a couple of conversation pieces that we want to cover today.
Yeah, thanks for asking. And I was listening to your interview with Robin before this, and it was really great to hear from her and her expertise about all things education across the nation, but especially in Illinois. I'm proudly public educated myself, so I appreciated hearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the Illinois state lead at Climate Cabinet. Climate Cabinet is a national organization, but we tend to focus really on all the power that we hold at the state and local levels and how we can harness that power to really affect proactive and hopeful change in climate policy across the country. So we're really all about our ethos. We could say that we run, win, and legislate on climate in states across the country. And in my job specifically, I get to focus on my home state of Illinois, mostly on the Illinois General Assembly, and then working with some local municipalities as well.
So it's important that our communities are doing what you're doing in a micro way in terms of being tied to the importance of climate and climate awareness. The attacks on the Inflation Reduction Act have been, they're going to be meaningful in a negative way in the sense that, we've already seen the Trump administration, pull away from the Paris Accords, and we've seen them chipping away at the Inflation Reduction Act, and just threats to our overall, not just the funding or the money behind programs that are important to our climate, but just the mindset that the climate doesn't mean anything. And that's why I said, Addie, that you, me, and 8 other people could be standing at the corner of Michigan and Ohio, and for those who don't know, any street in any place in America, and we're all breathing the same air. So you and I may be nerds about climate, and I'm drawing you into the nerdism, so apologize for that. But the other 8 other people, if they were climate deniers, have to realize we're all breathing the same air. And we have to take it that literally. And this is why I said the mindset of the current administration is disastrous. And frankly, some of the state elected officials in certain states, and you being the lead here in Illinois, I mean, you probably come across that where you've got people in certain parts of the country that they just don't give a darn about the environment. At least that's what they put out there. Am I fair in saying that, or am I off key here?
Yeah, I mean, I want to give credit to the Illinois General Assembly where it's due. We have a lot of really fantastic climate champions in our state legislature, but it is definitely true that the White House is aggressively anti-climate right now, and that Congress is obviously seriously considering repealing the IRA, and that there are certainly legislators in other states across the country who unfortunately feel similarly. You talked about the IRA. The repeal of the IRA would be devastating. There's no two ways about that. But we are in this moment where, while there's not a lot, I mean, there are things we can do to fight back federally, but we do have we have a White House and Congress that is just like vehemently against us, and so it's a time to really look to the states and figure out how we can lead on climate. And Illinois is a great example of a state that is leading on climate and can also do more to be leading on climate. And we've seen some great examples just in the climate cabinet universe of some really great things that states are doing at the local level to keep that hope up and really continue to be leaders on climate despite the bad news at the federal level. Even just in Illinois, we've seen in Naperville, in the Chicagoland area, they just elected a new slate of pro-climate champions to their city council.
You had like a clean sweep, and one of our partners is one of the members of the city council there. So you kind of, and you guys were a big part of that, if I understand things correctly.
Yeah, we were really proud to support those candidates and do some work with them, and it's just really exciting to see, this like very tangible change at the local level where in rapid succession, these candidates were elected and now they are immediately fighting to make sure that Naperville has the option to get its power from somewhere other than this coal power plant that they've been locked into for years. And so it's really exciting and really hopeful to see that change happen so quickly and just really emphasizes like what Climate Cabinet is all about, which is finding these opportunities for candidates and legislators and other lawmakers who can have an outsized impact on climate. I think some people forget how much impact we can have at the local level and things like city council. Naperville is, a larger municipality in the Chicagoland area, but I think folks forget sometimes how much power we have at the local level, and so it's really cool to watch that happen and watch it happen as quickly as it has, and with such immense impact.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, the speed in which it's happened and the impact that it's having and will continue to have. Naperville, for those of you who are not in Chicago listening to the show, Naperville is one of the largest communities west of downtown Chicago, one of the largest growing communities, and definitely has been one of those communities, one of those cities that said that we have to make some changes in our leadership on a local level so that we have changes for all of the systems that run our community, whether it be public education, whether it be climate, and the list goes on. And this is why, to Addie's point, why being involved in local activities is so critically important. We have all this federal garbage going on because of the current administration. But even if we had elected Kamala Harris as president, I would still be saying, and I'm sure Addie would agree, that we still have to take charge of what's happening on a local level because that has immediate impact to things that are so critical to the folks that are in those communities. Addie, you've had some success in Virginia as well. I mean, with the governor there being such a stand in the way of progress governor, you've had some success in Virginia and Nebraska, two states where the leadership there, at least the governors, are hardcore, kind of the bad side of GOP, particularly when it comes to climate change. But you've been able to do some good work there. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah. So in Virginia, I'll start with that since you mentioned that first. Legislators that we were proud to endorse were a crucial part of passing a bill that just got signed into law that creates a pathway for developing virtual power plants, which I can go into a little bit more for listeners since it's a little wonky. This will help boost clean energy capacity and lower bills for households, which is really the impact that we're all about at the end of the day. Virtual power plants, just as a quick overview, take the solar panels on your roof and the battery storage in your garage and all the other small appliances in your house that use electricity and combine those all together to set up a system where if you're a homeowner and you put solar panels on your roof or storage on your wall, the grid pays you back for that. Because you've essentially created a little power plant in your home. And we think, why should little power plants not get paid when big power plants get paid? So virtual power plants, or VPPs, combine all of those small energy sources together, and then they're also smart enough to figure out when you are and aren't using electricity so that they can switch things on and off and help you be more efficient. So it's making those small coordinated changes to all of these smaller uses of electricity that really combine into a large use of electricity. And this allows us to just move more people and get more done with the same wires and power plants that already exist without needing to build new infrastructure. So it's also something that we can get up and running and online really quickly because it's using all of these appliances and infrastructure that already exist.
So in Virginia, you've had this success, and talk about what's happened in some of your work and involvement in Nebraska.
Yeah, so there's some really exciting work happening in Nebraska. Kelsey Johnson was just elected to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners, and actually just one day after Trump's inauguration, she was able to cast the deciding vote to approve what could become one of the largest solar farms in the state, which is really exciting to see that from another Midwestern state taking steps forward to become leaders on clean energy.
That's fantastic. So we're talking with Addie Zwick, who is the Illinois lead for Climate Cabinet's state organization. One of the things that I was really kind of compelled to learn about your organization is the dependence, but in a good way, that you guys have on data. And actually, Robin, before you, was talking about that the importance of the data being measured and used, and you guys have a similar kind of mission as part of how you are able to help in the space of climate change or climate support. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I really liked what Robin was saying about data and reliance on the facts. Climate Cabinet is kind of an interesting organization in that we have found this niche where we do kind of combine data science with climate policy. We started about 5 years ago as a small team of folks who were just convinced that we could use this, we call it a Moneyball approach, to put data science to work for us and identify these areas of the country and races where we thought that candidates could have, we call it an outsized impact, but basically a larger impact on climate than maybe the title of the seat that they're running for would suggest. So it was a lot of focus on local seats and county commissioners. And I was saying earlier that a lot of folks forget how much power we have at the local level. And it's especially when it comes to things like where we get our power from and zoning and land use and all these things that really impact climate. A lot of that happens at the local level. And so identifying these races where we can have that outsized impact can really allow us to affect surprisingly large changes. And we use data science to help us identify where those areas of opportunity are so that we can then help support candidates who are running for those seats. And once they win, help them legislate. Continue to, because we assume that they will win, of course.
That's right. That's right on, Eddie.
We're optimists. Got to be in this day and age. And so then we help them legislate and become the climate champions that we know they can be.
Addie Zwick, thank you so much for being with us, and I hope you will be willing to come back. This is an ongoing day-to-day conversation. It's one where the more we talk about it, the more we're empowered, and the more we find the people that are going to be supportive, not only in your effort with Climate Cabinet, but also the greater conversation around why we have to protect our environment, why we have to improve and move our environment forward. We don't have to be stagnant. We can actually make things better. Tell our listeners how they can find you, how they can find the organization at large, and if they want to get involved, what they can do to do that.
You can find us online at climatecabinet.org. We have some really great resources and ways to get involved on our website there. And we're also, in Illinois, really lucky to have a very strong climate and environmental coalition called the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition that we are proud to be a member of and partner with. So you can go to ilcleanjobs.org and figure out what's going on with climate in Illinois if you live here and want to get involved locally.
Fantastic. Well, Addie, thanks for being with us and giving us the lowdown on what you guys are doing and why it's so important. I think sometimes we in our brains we know it's important, but it's not until we feel it that we can take action on it. So your organization and your leadership has been incredibly important in that process. So we appreciate you taking time out to be with us this morning on Choose Views. We will talk with you soon. We'll have you back and we'll do this again. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed talking with you.
Thanks, Adelaide. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. How wonderful it is to have experts like that with us on the show and making sure that they can bring us the knowledge of the work that they do. Both Addie Zwick and Robin Steans talking about education and certainly talking about our climate and our environment. Devin, as we wrap up, let's try to do rapid fire with some of the calls that we have on hold. Let's go real quickly. Steve in Des Plaines, let's get you in real quick, man. We got a minute. Let's go for it.
Hey, Richard, Steve here. How you doing?
Great.
Like, you know, I was a Marine. I was in military police. Now, if these clowns come to Chicago, things could get ugly, okay? And I'm thinking of a way that these ICE people are probably, a lot of them are former military, and I've got to wonder what they're thinking in their hearts, possibly. And you know what we do? You humiliate them somehow. You start throwing water balloons. Think about it. Then they've got to take their masks off because they'll be soaking wet. Or even paintballs. Some sort of way to be silly. I mean, it might go to that. It might go to that where it's going to be like, okay, game on. Okay, as it gets crazy. I hate to say it that way, you know.
Me too, man. I literally pray we don't get to that point here in Chicago because we're a different breed here, and you know that from your experience in your life in this community. So, Steve, man, thank you. How's school going?
Cool. School's going. Hey, well, I finished. The semester, and I got through finals, and I did pretty good. I got an A and a B.
There you go. There you go, man.
So we're getting forward. Okay.
Proud of you,
okay,
Steve,
cool.
and thanks for your contribution as always. Stay strong, okay?
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's quickly go to Earl in Hyde Park. Hey, Earl, good morning. Welcome to the show. What's happening?
Hey, good morning, Rich. And I just wanted to weigh in on the educational aspect.
Yes.
What I wanted to make everyone aware of who's younger than I am, because I grew up at a different time, that the reason why we have a Department of Education in the White House is because the states had different priorities as far as educating their population. And we still have states that have different priorities for education. Remember, now we have Texas that's trying to whitewash slavery, remove slavery from our history, or try to say that the slaves were taught a trade. And most white people don't realize that black folks built the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? We had trade.
Even though we were brought here, we brought trade and industry and knowledge from the ancestors of all of the continent, not the country, but the continent of Africa. So there.
Thank you very much. So that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted people to understand that we still need the centralized system, excuse me, to keep our education world class and to move it forward and not move it backwards. Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Earl. Have a great day, man. Good to hear your voice. Be well. Let's go to Roosevelt real quickly. Hey, Roosevelt, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
So
I'm on a mission. I'm on an agenda of correcting something that has happened on the station on almost every show. Okay. I called up Patty, and I called up Joan. There's a gentleman that calls your show and everybody else's show that has to be corrected.
Okay.
Now, this is my point. Coming to this country is not a crime without papers. If a person comes without papers, it is a civil matter.
Yep.
Okay? To prove my point, yesterday at 10 minutes and 40 seconds on The View, Sunny Hostins, I believe she's a lawyer. I believe she knows the law, and I believe she's a minority, married to a Haitian. She's half Puerto Rican, half African-American.
Yep.
This is what she says. She says, these things have to be repeated because 66% of the people in this country believe that it is a crime. And who is the majority in this country as we speak right now? Anglo-Saxons. So that's his forte, meaning Trump ran on that, on deporting the illegals. And he called them illegals. Correction. Undocumented, which is what Sonny said. And that has to be corrected because nobody is an illegal this world. So
until they and then even in that space, until they're not an illegal, even if they commit a crime, what they did is illegal. But to your point, I get what you're saying. So let me ask you this question: are you saying that we need to change the language that's used? I want to be clear. So as we wrap up, Roosevelt, just to make sure I get this right.
For one, not calling them illegals.
Okay.
Because we're playing to the other side. That's my point.
Yeah, we have to. So in other words, from our side, now I'm getting it. We have to clean up our language. Listen. It starts at home. It starts right here. Clean up on aisle 7. I'm agreeing with you. We have to clean up what we say as our retort and reply, and stop them in their tracks. When someone says these illegals, say no, they're not illegals. That's.
I'm sorry, Richard.
You go.
And when you open up conversations such as the gentleman that calls you and everybody else, I normally agree with him 90% of the time. And he starts this conversation, my people came to this country the legal way. So when you cross the border, and he follows it with this, you cross the border, you're breaking the law. That's what he follows it with. He doesn't say that it's a civil. Okay?
Yep.
That's another correction we have to make. And when our own people saying that, we're falling for this. We're falling for what the other side constantly repeats on Fox News and specifically Trump.
Yeah, we're what's happening, and Roosevelt. Thank you for that. We should have some time to talk a little bit more about this on Thursday, as I said, from 6:30 to 7:30. I'm going to do nothing but take calls from you guys, and maybe we can expand on this conversation a little bit then, because it's going to be a little bit of everything, whatever's on anybody's mind or in their heart. Let's talk about it. So on Thursday, maybe we can deeper dive in this in terms of this specific category with regard to immigration, but also when it comes to language, because that's a big one right now. Too many times, too many people, too many of us, candidly, repeat language that's used that's an opposition language or opposing language to the goal that we're trying to achieve. So I appreciate you identifying that as a tool to help us do a better job. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Richard. And where I hear it the most is on the beginning of the AM dial. You know who I'm talking about, the two knuckleheads that have your time slot.
I know what you mean, man. Roosevelt, thank you as always for calling our shows. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it, man. Have a great day today, and thanks. Talk to you on Thursday, hopefully.
Okay, thanks.
All right, bye-bye. He's right. Listen, I think I've said before, my cleanup on aisle 7 is about me getting it right. I know I'm going to, at the pace of what we run a show, that we're going to make some mistakes and say some things. So thank you, Roosevelt, for helping us remember that we need to use the right language or the right way in our conversations. Wow. Thanks to our guests, Robin Steans and Addie Zwick, for being with us. Thanks to you guys for your calls and for your text messages. We greatly appreciate it. Take a deep breath, y'all, and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
Are you tired of talking to yourself? We can get you an audience on the radio. You can produce and host your own radio show on one of our 2 stations. Please call 773-792-1121. That's 773-792-1121 and ask for Mark. Limited space available.
It's nice to know someone is on your side. Mark Drugs always has your back. No 2 dogs are the same. A dosage form or strength of medication that works for one dog may not work for another. A compounding pharmacy like Mark Drugs is here to help you with your pet's medication challenges. We'll be happy to help you when your pet is sick. After all, it can affect